Y'all been eating long enough now. Stop being greedy. Just keep it real, partner. Give to the needy. Ribs is touching, so don't make me wait. Fuck around and I'm gonna bite you and snatch the plate. Off the top. Off the rip. Rest in peace to the late great DMX.
I thought that was like one of those jingles that you hear in a McDonald's commercial for like the McRib.
Jesus Christ, how dare you disrespect my mans like that? No, rest in peace, DMX. Hip hop lost a real one this last week, man. It's fucking sad.
It was a heart attack, right? That's what he's been saying.
A heart attack triggered by a drug overdose.
Yes, okay. And he went into a coma for a while.
Yeah, he was in a coma for several days, and then passed away.
I want to say it was Friday.
No, I want to say it was late Wednesday, early Thursday, wasn't it?
It was whenever.
What is today? Oh no, it was late Thursday, early Friday morning.
Well, didn't he die on Friday?
Yeah, I think he died Friday morning.
Yeah.
Because
Prince Philip died the same day.
Yeah.
But, heard a lot of good stuff he did.
Rest in peace. Mm-hmm. Just unfortunate. But, now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and start this show off. Yeah, Connor?
Yeah, you can't really jump into any other topic besides this.
No clean departure with that. But, I just wanted to, salute.
You'd be remiss if you didn't say anything.
Salute to the real OG DMX, my man. Anyways, Connor, this is the Two Penny Gamescast. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. Say hi to the people, Connor.
Howdy.
You can get this show every Monday, 8 a.m., YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're out here. Just look us up. We're here. Mm-hmm. All right? Mm-hmm. And every week, me and my good friend Connor here, we come together to talk to you about the new news in the video game industry, the news you need to know, and we come to you with 2 topics each, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. And if you didn't know, you can catch us live, twitch.tv/2pennygames. Every Tuesday at 1 p.m., me and my buddy Phil, we do a show called Hype. Have you ever played? This week, we started Kingdom Hearts 2. And we will be continuing it last week, rather, we started Kingdom Hearts 2, and we will be continuing it this week. If you want to know how I feel about that, you're going to have to wait for After the Hype, which is our review show about games that we played on Hype, and that'll come out when we beat it.
Mm-hmm. And what world did you get to? I never asked you that.
Oh, fuck. What was it? Okay.
I think it's
so we're past Hercules.
Oh, okay. That's one of the first. That's the first one, isn't it?
No, it's
that's the first one in Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah.
It's a few deep. We're past Hercules. I'm trying to remember. I do not remember. No.
You got further than I thought you would have.
Yeah, we made it about 9 hours in. Phil, when we finished at the end of the night, Phil was like, "This is about where I thought we would finish."
Yeah.
So we're on course. I unlocked the Pirates of the Caribbean world, but I haven't visited it yet.
Oh man, that is surreal. It's so surreal. That one's still made fun of. Not because it's bad, but because
it's like a little more realistic thing, and then it's just Donald and Goofy running around.
Yes, expect that.
Okay.
Yes, and impersonations of Jack Sparrow and such. So get ready for it.
What else did we play? I do not remember. You caught me off guard.
Mm-hmm.
But Connor, let's go ahead and move into our first topic of the show. E3 was my.
It was
penny?
yours, yes.
Ooh, we should have redid it. You went to the bathroom, took you forever to get out of the bathroom, and now here we are. So my first penny, E3 is back, Connor. E3 2021 plans announced. Xbox and Nintendo involved. No sign of Sony. Pulling an IGN article here by Joe Screbbles. The Electronic Software Association has announced its plans for the first digital-only E3, which will include Nintendo and Xbox, but currently does not include Sony. Taking place from June 12th to 15th, E3 2021 is confirmed to include appearances from Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Konami, Ubisoft, Take-Two Interactive, Warner Brothers Games, and Koch Media? Koch Media?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Koch brothers. They own that.
Sony is conspicuous by its absence on that list. No, it's not. And we've contacted the company for comment. Other major missing companies include EA, which has recently preferred to host its own EA Play events during E3's timing, Square Enix, Sega, Bandai Namco, Tencent, 505, and Activision Blizzard. None of these names are shocking.
No, not at all.
The ESA makes clear that the list of partners marks, quote, early commitments, so other publishers and developers could come on board at a later date. However, Before the show's pandemic-related cancellation, Sony had confirmed it had no plans to attend E3 2020. After announcing that the show would return as a digital-only event, the E3 website promises, quote, live press conferences and a 4-day-long video stream, and says the show will be a reimagined and hyper-engaged digital experience. Concrete details about the show remain thin on the ground, but ESA President Stanley Pierre-Louis used a press release to say, quote, we are evolving this year's E3 into a more inclusive event, but we'll still look to excite the fans with major reveals and insider opportunities that make this event the indispensable center stage for video games. What we know for sure is that the event will be entirely free. After previous reports that the parts of E3 2021 could be put behind paywalls, the ESA told IGN that, quote, E3's 2021 digital show is a free event for all attendees. Connor.
As it should be, because E3 hasn't been in the position to be demanding that much out of the people that would be interested in it.
And Connor, let me just start off with this. Are you excited for the return of E3?
I'm not going to lie, Tavin. I understand why people don't have interest in it, and I understand that a lot of developers who come to these things don't really have a good showing. You know, Square Enix and Ubisoft are usual ones that I think of that kind of always fall flat. But to be honest,
Square Enix only showed up twice.
Huh?
Square Enix only showed up twice, and their 2019 one wasn't.
Fuck! They did the 2019.
We talked about this recently.
Yeah, we did. I was like, shit, never mind.
The 2019 one was solid.
Then I'll still
rag on the first one that was trash.
I'll still rag on Ubisoft then, because they always
Ubisoft is okay.
I never liked it.
EA never pulls out, but EA knows what their EA Play event is not for us, the consumer. It's for their stock people and you know all of that, their shareholders.
But all that aside, you know, I'm not excited for it, but I'm interested in it because I'm a big fan of the reveal. You know, trailers, presentations, and stuff like that.
It's fun to hear about new games coming down the pipeline.
And putting it up behind this big event is fun to me. But you know, I know you chuckled at the indispensable part because it is expendable, expendable.
If
but not
2020's games news cycle showed us anything, it's that we don't need these big events.
Yeah,
we don't need them.
Everybody does their own thing too now.
Exactly.
Like,
it was nice to have for a few years there. It was nice to have the big pop at E3 and then the big pop at the Game Awards. Those like two little events broke everything up nicely, and then we had a couple of smaller events along the way. The Paris Showcase and the Tokyo Games and Gamescom. All those were all great and fun. But you know, the E3 and the Game Awards have always been the big hitters for the last damn near a decade.
Yeah, not QuakeCon? Not a fan of QuakeCon?
Fuck QuakeCon. Free Hong Kong. So, listen, I think it's funny that Joe Scrubbles brings up Sony's absence being conspicuous.
It's not.
Sony's been gone for years now.
Yeah, they've been pulling away.
Absolutely not. Now, EA, they haven't been in. I'm more surprised that Nintendo is signed on at all.
Yeah, they always do. I was saying we talked a little bit about it before the show. They have their directs. They've had their directs. Always get a lot of attention.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Their E3 time directs were not part of E3, or were they?
I don't think they were.
I don't think they were. I think it was just, we're gonna find a time that fits everybody else, and then we're just gonna show that. I thought that was the case. Maybe it was part of E3 still, though. But like, it must have been because they still showed up with their games when they had games. But they just did. I don't know.
No presentation, maybe, and then they did showrooms like presentations.
Here's the thing.
I don't know.
Is it still E3 if you don't have journalists, and in the last year or two they allowed consumers to come to the show with paid tickets or whatever? But is it really still E3 if you're not getting hands-on impressions?
Yeah, I mean, you have, like I was saying before, I like the presentation and the reveal of this kind of stuff.
The showcases are always fun. The showcases you can watch from home, though.
Exactly, and those will still happen here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, I remember there was always those times, especially, I watched X-Play. Did you ever watch X-Play?
No.
Okay, well, I always remember they did their E3 coverage. And all the way back since then, that was also a part I always liked to watch, getting to connect with the game developers, ask questions that you may not get answered during their presentation.
I assume we're still getting that, but it's going to be like Zoom calls and shit. Like,
yeah,
what?
It seems like it's going to be a lot more planned, and people know what they're going to be almost asked in a way.
Yeah, within this 4-day long video stream.
Yeah.
boy, you better have your shit right, man, because if that shit breaks, your whole event is over.
Usually with this kind of stuff, I feel like they'll be fine. I mean, presentations in the past when they showed them online were always pretty solid. Never really had any issues, so they really better not drop the ball. You're right about that. But I'll be watching it. I know you'll probably be tuning in and out.
I'll check in for the showcases. I won't be watching the moment to moment stuff.
Oh yeah. No.
I'll check later and be like, hey, that game looked interesting. Let me see the extended demo that they did after the showcase or whatever. But I'll watch the Microsoft showcase. I'll watch the Nintendo Direct. I'm curious about what Konami's bringing in.
Yeah,
all these rumors about Metal Gear remakes and rumors about Contra stuff.
We are allowing any independent developers to make their own version of Metal Gear. Woo! Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be cool.
That would be cool, but they're not.
Take-Two, they own Rockstar, right? Or am I tripping?
When you read it, I actually should have looked it up because I know the name rings a bell, but I can't remember what they did.
I forget. We're so good at our jobs here.
Amazing.
But then, absentees like Square Enix, not surprising, Square Enix just announced their own version of Directs, didn't they? That was Square Enix. We covered it on this show, right?
Yeah.
Sega not being present, that doesn't surprise me. Bandai Namco, they'll show up at a fucking PlayStation thing for whatever Street Fighter is doing something.
Yeah.
Tencent doesn't surprise me. 505 doesn't really surprise me. Activision Blizzard, I don't even know why you even brought them up. They haven't been relevant to E3 in years. They do their own things with things like QuakeCon and so forth. So
yeah. I don't think it'll pull in major numbers at the end of the day because, like I was saying, a lot of people are kind of moving away from E3.
Where is
detached from it in recent
the money
years.
in this? That's my question.
That is true as well.
Because E3 is an expensive event, and to just be like, we're doing it. It's free.
Well,
live.
Maybe now that it's all online, it'll be a lot easier because they don't have to, rent out big showrooms or anything like that.
Maybe
the major expenses I think are going to be covered, but
where are you going to get? Where are you covering these expenses?
Advertisements. You're going to see a lot of those.
Yeah, a lot of the bigwig publishers paying to get their things in front of your face. I guess, out there. Man, but
I mean, that's usually, I think, most of the way these things get their money. But we'll see how.
You excited? I'm almost going to bet money we're going to see the Halo Infinite redone gameplay demo, or whenever they start that Halo Infinite marketing rollout again.
Yeah, bring it back out. We got to get on it.
Be there. So, I'll be excited to see that. I'm interested to see what Konami's going to bring. Nintendo, of course, it'd be nice to know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Because recently those Mario games went off. Maybe they'll,
Yeah. Other than that,
I don't know.
I'm cool, man. I didn't need E3 to return, and I don't think it's going to be much longer past this year anyway. So, moving on to topic number 2. This is going to be my second penny. Here we go. The rare times where I back to back them. Usually I like to flip flop, but roll of show it made more sense to back to back it today.
Keep some consistency up.
Hideo Kojima is reportedly in talks with Xbox over the publication of his next games. From Games Radar by Ali Jones. Hideo Kojima is reportedly in talks with Xbox to publish his next game. According to a report from VentureBeat, the Death Stranding and Metal Gear Solid developer, quote, is in talks with Microsoft about publishing his next game, according to a source familiar with the matter. The report also suggests that the potential deal has been in the works for several weeks already, stating that Xbox chief Phil Spencer deliberately featured a statue of the Kojima Productions company mascot in the background of a recent stream as a hint towards the partnership. It's not known whether this deal has been signed yet, but VentureBeat also suggests that, quote, Kojima is the focus of a Microsoft plan to leverage Japanese talent. Spencer has previously denied reports that Xbox is turning its attention to the region, in which it has historically underperformed in comparison to PlayStation. When the PS5 and Xbox Series X launched in November 2020, Sony's new console outsold Microsoft's effort by nearly 5-1. Whether or not Xbox is focusing on Japanese developers, there's little denying that the potential exclusivity offered by a publishing deal with Kojima would be a significant coup for a console family that has struggled with big-name exclusives in recent years, and as a potent addition to the recent Bethesda acquisition. With no official announcement from either Microsoft or Kojima Productions, it's worth remembering that even if these talks did happen, there's no guarantee that an arrangement will be made. It's also important to note that Death Stranding, Kojima's first game with his new studio, was a PlayStation launch exclusive. That said, the studio confirmed it was working on a new game back in October last year, with some suggestions pointing to an announcement that's not very far away. Connor. Kojima switching sides.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox has been on a roll of, getting all these games and all these different services. So Kojima could be, showing some interest in joining in on that parade.
Listen, I have no doubt that these talks are happening. I have no doubt that Kojima's next game will show up on Xbox. Will it be an Xbox exclusive? I don't know. I don't think so.
With someone like Kojima, I don't think he, would kind of benefit from that at all. Just making it only on PC and Xbox.
As a Japanese developer, I don't see why you would do that.
Yeah, and it's not like he is solely working for Xbox. It's not like he's one of their studios.
No,
he does his own thing.
Well,
so.
I mean, he's a third party, much like how the what were they? The Horizon dev studio that we talked about. Excuse me. That we talked about the other week. So yeah, I'm interested to see what Kojima's going to bring to the table this next time. Death Stranding was a very interesting experiment. I liked it. Not everybody did, and I understand why.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just okay.
Yeah,
neat.
Nice.
We'll see it when we see it. It is weird to me to think of a Hideo Kojima game not being on a PlayStation.
Yeah, they're so synonymous with one another.
Yeah.
That. I mean, nothing's really holding them back from not doing that anymore, solely being on PlayStation or really being connected with them.
And there was always oh, I just lost the page. There was always smaller ties to the things on Xbox, but Kojima built his brand on PlayStation. Metal Gear Solid 1 was the reason to buy a PlayStation 1. MGS2 did release on the first Xbox, but you played it on a PS2.
Yeah.
MGS3 was PS2 only, I believe. 4 was PS3 only. Peace Walker was on the PlayStation Portable. It wasn't until the HD re-release did Metal Gear ever touch a Xbox console again. Now, Kojima's work with Castlevania, I believe, went to Xbox. So it's not unfounded that Kojima is in talks with Microsoft to publish a game.
No.
But
the exact details would really be interesting to know about how they're going to go along with this game.
A chunk of change on him to do that, man.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
So if I were to guess, it's gonna be on everything, with the main marketing push being from Xbox consoles. If I were to guess.
Yeah.
So.
And drawing back to the article real quick about how if this is possibly part of their focus to leverage Japanese talent, Microsoft. It's a pretty big difference between what Microsoft is doing and what recently happened with Sony's Japan studio being completely reorganized.
Yeah,
so good.
And dissolved into everything else.
So it's good Microsoft's taking the advantage to kind of counterbalance that. Maybe I don't know. Who knows if those things are connected?
We're seeing a lot of different strategies at play here in this new generation, and it's fascinating to watch, and it's fascinating to see what's going to win out.
Yeah, because we haven't really seen the results of any of this kind of stuff yet, because it's been very new and recent.
However, if you look at history, whoever plays more to the gamer usually wins.
That is true.
You saw that this last generation with the PlayStation 4. Sony played to the gamer, and they fucking dominated the entire generation. The generation before that, it started with, hey, everything's going to be online. We're going to start connecting you with other players. And then here's some great shooter games, multiplayer games to really get us booted ahead. Now, if you really look at the numbers, eventually the PlayStation 3 overtook the 360. But the general conversation is still... Yeah, the 360 dominated. Everybody had a 360. Some people had PlayStation 3s, even though the numbers would tell you otherwise. And then the generation before that, not really worth talking about. But there's a reason Sony was on top when they first came out. It's because they put out the heat.
They put out the best game.
They put out the best game. So there's a reason. Sega fell away. There's a reason Atari fell away. There's a reason Nintendo's relevance diminished.
Yeah, but now it's kicking back up again because they've done things like make games more portable.
More
the
portable,
Switch,
accessibility and all this. So
bring back games people love.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't say PlayStation's strategy is anti-consumer or anti-gamer, this thing, but it's definitely not as pro-gamer, it's definitely not as pro-consumer as what Microsoft and even Nintendo have been doing.
No.
So, it's fascinating to see how these strategies are going to play out.
Speaking of strategies that these people are doing, maybe we should move on to our next penny.
Yeah, maybe indeed. So, let me take my time code real quick. I wasn't ready for you to jump on it, man. I like it.
Yeah, I saw the opportunity, and I guess I took it.
You jumped it. So, PlayStation is working on a counterpunch to Xbox Game Pass, claims God of War creator. This is a article we're pulling from Video Game Chronicles by
Tom Ivan.
Where is he?
He's up there in the corner.
Right, Tom Ivan. Sony Interactive Entertainment is working on a, quote, counterpunch to Microsoft's popular Xbox Game Pass service, a former senior developer has claimed. That's according to God of War creator and Twisted Metal co-creator David Jaffe, who claims to have spoken to a number of sources within PlayStation about the company's plan to respond to Microsoft's subscription service. Game Pass launched in June 2017 and has become central to Microsoft's gaming business, attracting over 18 million subscribers as of January 2021. It offers Xbox and PC players access to over 100 titles, including all first-party games at launch, with a growing number also available on Android devices via the cloud. Sony has said on multiple occasions that the Game Pass model wouldn't work for PlayStation. Speaking to GameIndustry.biz last September, SIE boss Jim Ryan claimed a subscription-type model would be unsustainable for PlayStation Studios because it often sees its first-party game budgets grow to well over $100 million. That's such a bullshit reason. However, in a November 2020 interview with Russian news agency TASS, I don't know what this is. What happens if I highlight it? Something pop up? Nope. Okay. Ryan also suggests Sony might have an ace up its sleeve to counter Game Pass. Quote, "There is actually news to come, but just not today," he said, when asked how PlayStation will respond to Microsoft's subscription service. Quote, "We have PlayStation Now, which is our subscription service that is available in a number of markets," he continued. Jaffe, who worked at PlayStation for 14 years, but left the company in 2007, has also heard from his sources at Sony that a response to Game Pass is in the works. Quote, "I've said time and time again that people who are writing Jim Ryan's obituary are way premature," he said in a video published on his YouTube channel on Thursday. Quote, "We had the guy on the show yesterday that had made the petition to fire Jim Ryan, and I was like, dude, that's way premature because Jim Ryan doesn't owe anybody. Sony doesn't owe anybody. The truth about what's coming and what their counterpunch to Game Pass is, what is this?
It seems like there's a weird misspelling.
Jim Ryan doesn't owe anybody. Sony doesn't owe anybody the truth about what's coming and what their counterpunch to Game Pass is. Quote, "What I can tell you is I know they are doing some stuff because I know people at Sony who have told me that they are doing some stuff."
Very vague. Very, very vague.
There will be a response to Game Pass. What it is, we don't know. Here's what I would say I worry about. If Jim Ryan thinks the proper response to Game Pass is to emulate backwards compatibility, PS3 games, PS2, PS1, and then to also add trophies, which is what that patent suggests they're going to do. God, I would love that. And they're also going to fold in all the movies and shit and make a streaming service. He's absolutely wrong if he thinks he's mixing it with PS Now, is the way to go. That would make me go, I don't think the man has a clue, because that's not going to compete with Game Pass. But I don't know if that's the case. But I don't think Jim Ryan is ready to throw under the bus at all. Cloud gaming subscription service PlayStation Now fully launched in 2015 and now houses a software library of more than 700 PS2, PS3, and PS4 games, which can be streamed to PS5, PS4, or PC, and over 300 PS4 titles, which can be downloaded and played on consoles. Sony slashed PlayStation Now prices in October 2019 in a bid to be more competitive with rival streaming services, and also began adding blockbuster games each month, which are now available for a limited time. It's possible that Sony could look to strengthen the service, either with the addition of day one releases similar to Microsoft Game Pass strategy or PS5 games. The rest of this is just some numbers about what they've been doing with PlayStation Now and so forth. So, Connor.
what could the counterpunch be?
What could the counterpunch be?
Yeah.
And what do we do with PlayStation Now if we have a PlayStation Game Pass? You know?
I don't know how that would work as well. You see, the thing that one of the big benefits with Games Pass for me, Xbox Games Pass.
It's also worth noting Xbox Game Pass has 18 million subscribers. PlayStation Now has just over 2.2 million.
Big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah, which would make sense if they're trying to boost up PS Now to compete with Xbox Games Pass. But the main issue that I see with all of this is that Xbox Games Pass also works with PC. So it's
you're double dipping.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So PlayStation, they've obviously been very isolationists when it comes to working with other game companies or studios like Nintendo and Microsoft and all that stuff. So
we have seen recent behavior that should be showing signs of that changing. MLB The Show coming to Game Pass for one.
But even so, it's just what would I benefit from that? Like what kind of model would make me think, that could compete with Xbox Games Pass? And I really, really don't know.
Game Pass.
Games Pass. I don't know if I'll get in on this. PS Now, I've never actually really used that at all. I don't know if you ever have.
Never touched it.
Yeah.
I think I tried for a week, and whatever I tried to play didn't work, and I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah. I probably did the same exact thing.
However, the PlayStation Plus collection that they put out with the PS5, which is more of like a hey, get PS Plus and then play everything you missed last generation. That's worth talking about at least. Could be an interesting study case for them to say, okay, let's test the waters. Let's see, what people do if we just put this little thing out. It's not going to cost us that much, and they have to subscribe to PS Plus to get it. Excuse me. For example, I installed Days Gone onto my PS5 through the PS Plus collection because you just weren't going to get me to pay $60 for that game. But yeah, I'll try it out for free through PS Plus collection. So if you have something like that, I'll subscribe to that and start playing that way. However, the excuse Jim Ryan gives about how a system like that wouldn't really work for PlayStation Studios and how they do things because their budgets of their games go over $100 million, yada, yada, yada. That's bullshit. That I believe him when he says their games are costing that much to make. I just don't think that's a reason as to why you can't make a service like this. And even if you want to say, hey, we need that $70 game launch and 10 million people to buy it at launch or whatever. Okay, so then release it on your PlayStation Plus, whatever bullshit that you're going to do a year later or 6 months later, if you really desperately need the immediate return on that. But I just don't think you do. And because the Game Pass model, you're getting, what is it, $20 every month from 18 million people right now? Mm-hmm. That's a significant chunk of change for a company that doesn't release a first-party exclusive game every month. And
it's a continual way to make money, which Sony doesn't really have something like that to bring in big bucks.
I mean, PlayStation Plus and PS Now, but PS Now, obviously just by the numbers alone, not competing with Game Pass.
No.
And I also don't think that's a good idea. However, I do really want that idea that Jaffe's talking about bringing all of those older titles up front through emulators and then giving them trophies and stuff. It'd be really, really nice, when Bully came to the PS4. I played it for about a week, and I got myself a couple of trophies, and if I ever wanted to, I can go back and do it again. Or I can go back and get the platinum for it, or whatever. So it'd be really nice to do that with games that I fucking love from way back in the day, like a old Sly Cooper game or something. Mm-hmm. Granted, I understand that you can just get the HD collection for PS3 or PS Vita. I've done it. I've got the trophies, guys. Go look at my trophy list. I got them.
But you want more trophies.
I want more trophies, Connor.
Hey, even if you're double dipping.
Anyways, yeah, I don't see a reason as to why PlayStation wouldn't do this.
Yeah, they might not even be doing that though. We can't really say much about what they're proposing here. Until we wait and see. But, in the same vein, Connor, let's continue with this PlayStation talk and what they're doing to our poor babies over at Sony Bend. So,
Jason Schreier of Bloomberg put out this wonderful little piece about Sony this week, and it's a lot of reading, but it's a lot of good information. So I'm going to go ahead and go through all of it. So let's stick with me here. Jason Schreier from Bloomberg. Sony's obsession with blockbusters is stirring unrest within the PlayStation empire. Sony Corporation's Visual Arts Service Group has long been the unsung hero of many hit PlayStation video games. The San Diego-based operation helps finish off games designed at other Sony-owned studios with animation, art, or other content and development. But about 3 years ago, a handful of influential figures within the Visual Arts Service Group decided they wanted to have more creative control and lead game direction rather than being supporting actors on popular titles such as Spider-Man and Uncharted. Michael Mumbauer, who took over direction of the Visual Arts Service Group in 2007, recruited a group of about 30 developers internally and from neighboring game studios to form a new development unit within Sony. The idea was to expand upon some of the company's most successful franchises, and the team began working on a remake of 2013 hit The Last of Us for PlayStation 5. But Sony never fully acknowledged the team's existence or gave them the funding and support needed to succeed in the highly competitive video game market, according to the people involved. The studio never even got its own name. Instead, Sony moved ownership of The Last of Us remake to its original creator, Naughty Dog, a Sony-owned studio behind many of the company's best-selling games and an HBO television series in development. Deflated, the small group's leadership has largely disbanded, according to interviews with 8 people familiar with the operation. Many, including Mumbauer, have left the company entirely. Mumbauer declined to comment, and others asked not to be named, discussing private information. A representative for Sony declined to comment or provide interviews. The team's failure highlights the complex hierarchy of video game development and, in particular, Sony's conservative approach to making games for the PlayStation 5. The Japanese conglomerate owns about a dozen studios across the world as part of its PlayStation Studios label, but in recent years, it has prioritized games made by its most successful developers. Studios such as Santa Monica, California-based Naughty Dog, and Amsterdam-based Guerrilla Games spend tens of millions of dollars to make games with the expectation that the investments will pay off exponentially. And they usually do. Hits, including 2018's God of War and 2020's The Last of Us Part 2, are exclusive to PlayStation consoles, helping Sony sell 114 million of the PS4. Rival Microsoft Corporation has taken the opposite approach, relying on a wide array of studios to feed its Netflix-like subscription service, Xbox Game Pass, which allows users to pay a monthly fee for unlimited access to a variety of games. Sony's focus on exclusive blockbusters has come to an expense of niche teams and studios within the PlayStation organization, leading to high turnover and less choice for players. Last week, Sony reorganized a development office in Japan, resulting in mass departures of people who worked on less well-known but acclaimed games such as Gravity Rush and Everybody's Golf. Everybody's Golf, great game.
Yeah, I remember you played that. You liked it a lot.
I played it for about a month, man. It was fun. The company has informed developers that it no longer wants to produce smaller games that are only successful in Japan, Bloomberg has reported. This fixation on teams that churn out hits is creating unrest across Sony's portfolio of game studios. Oregon-based Sony Bend, best known for the 2019 open-world action game Days Gone and Uncharted Golden Abyss for the PlayStation Vita, put respect on Bend! Schreier?
Not with that game, I don't think
It's a good game, Connor!
Yeah, and Jason Schreier, when he thinks of the games that he can associate with this studio...
It's gonna be Days
Golden
Gone.
Abyss.
I understand it's gonna be Days Gone, man. But
Golden Abyss... I want it to be Golden Abyss.
Golden Abyss, good game, man. Not... better than the first one.
That's a weird way to frame it.
It's better than the first one. I'll say that much. Although, the best known for the 2019 open-world action game Days Gone, tried unsuccessfully to pitch a sequel that year, according to people familiar with the proposal. Although the first game had been profitable, its development had been lengthy, and critical reception was mixed, so a Days Gone 2 wasn't seen as a viable option. Instead, one team at the studio was assigned to help Naughty Dog with a multiplayer game, while a second group was assigned to work on a new Uncharted game with supervision from Naughty Dog. Some staff, including top leads, were unhappy with this arrangement and left. Bend's developers feared they might be absorbed into Naughty Dog, and the studio's leadership asked to be taken off the project. They got their wish last month and are now working on a new game of their own that will be part of a brand new franchise. Emphasizing big hits can also be counterproductive because sometimes games that start small can turn into... Okay, this is some shit about some things that don't matter, but that's for Bloomberg's more mainstream audience. Skipping ahead. For their first solo project, Mumbauer and his crew wanted to pitch something that would be well received by their bosses at Sony. Recognizing the risks and expense involved with developing a new game from scratch, they decided to focus on remaking older games for the new PlayStation 5. Remakes are considered a safe bet, but since it's cheaper to update and polish an old game than it is to start from scratch, and they can be sold both to nostalgic old fans and curious new ones. The team originally planned on a remake of the first Uncharted game, released by Naughty Dog in 2007. That idea quickly fizzled because it would be expensive and require too much added design work. Instead, the team settled on a remake of Naughty Dog's 2013 melancholic zombie hit, The Last of Us. At the time, Naughty Dog was in the thick of development on the sequel, which would introduce higher fidelity graphics and new gameplay features. If Mumbauer's crew remade the first game to have a similar look and feel, the two games could be packaged together for the PlayStation 5. In theory, this would be a less expensive proposition than remaking Uncharted, since The Last of Us was more modern and wouldn't require too many gameplay overhauls. Then, once Mumbauer's group had established itself, it could go on to remake the first Uncharted game and other titles down the road. But pivoting from doing finishing work for other games to making your own is difficult, since the original development teams are, quote, competing against hundreds of other teams from all over the world with varying levels of experience and success, said David Lang, founder of the Iron Galaxy Studios, which has served a support team and a development studio. Quote, the people funding the work are often risk-averse, and if they have to pick between a team that has done it before and someone trying to do it on their own the first time, I can see why some people pick the prior developer over the latter, he said. And that's just what Sony did. Mumbauer's project, codenamed T1X, was approved on a probationary basis, but Sony kept the team's existence a secret and refused to give them a budget to hire more people, leading many to wonder if the company was really committed to letting the team build a new studio. Still, the small team kept working, and by the spring of 2019, they had completed a section of the game designed to showcase how the rest would look and feel. At that time, Sony was going through a management shuffle, and the new boss wasn't impressed. Herman Holtz, the former head of Guerrilla Games, was named head of PlayStation's worldwide studios in November of 2019. He thought the remake project was too expensive, according to people familiar with the matter, and asked why the planned budget for T1X was so much higher than the remakes Sony had made in the past. The reason was that this was on a brand new graphical engine for the PlayStation 5. Mumbauer needed to hire more people to help rework the graphics on new technology as well as redesign gameplay mechanics. Holst wasn't convinced, people said. Just when it hoped to enter production on the remake of The Last of Us, Mumbauer's team got called in to help when another big game fell behind. Release of The Last of Us Part 2 had been pushed to 2020 from 2019, and Naughty Dog needed the visual arts service group to polish it off. Most of Mumbauer's team, along with some of the 200 or so other staff at the visual arts service group, was assigned to support Naughty Dog slowing down progress on its own game. Then, the roles got reversed. Sony sent word after the completion of The Last of Us Part 2, some people from Naughty Dog would help out with T1X. Mumbauer's team saw this as their short-lived autonomy being stripped. Dozens of Naughty Dog staff were joining the project, and some had actually worked on the original Last of Us, giving them more weight in discussions about T1X's direction. The game was moved under Naughty Dog's budget, which Sony gave more leeway than the visual arts service group. Soon, it was apparent that Naughty Dog was in charge, and the dynamics returned to what they had been for the last decade and a half. The visual arts support group aiding another team of developers rather than leading. To Sony, the move made sense. Naughty Dog is, quote, one of the key studios for Sony's ability to sell PlayStations, said Bloomberg intelligence analyst Matthew Ketterman. Quote, Sony's competitive advantage has always been exclusive content over Microsoft, and more new games as well as remakes of classic titles from such a storied team can help sustain demand for the PlayStation 5. But those who wanted independence were disappointed. By the end of 2020, most of the T1X team's top staff had left, including Mumbauer and the game's director David Hall. Today, the T1X project remains in development at Naughty Dog with assistance from Sony's Visual Arts Support Group. The future of the remainder of Mumbauer's team, which has come to be jokingly referred to as Naughty Dog South, remains unclear. Okay, so there's a lot in
there,
that.
yeah.
Let's start with some of the smaller things talked about here. First of all, Sony Bend. I want to talk about Sony Bend being negated as a sequel to their Days Gone, which people liked. Mm-hmm. People came out in droves and supported that game.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't critically loved. Lots of 7s.
Yes.
A couple of 6s.
A lot of them.
Couple of 8s.
Was it kind of unpolished in certain areas?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the most original game, but it had original ideas in it that reviewers were excited to see expanded upon in a sequel. I truly believe Days Gone 2, in whatever form that was going to be, there was going to be a jump in quality similar from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2.
Yeah. I mean, with a game like that, which doesn't have like terrible aspects to it, you could just improve on those in your next game.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. You know? And especially Sony comment the reservations is development for Days Gone took a long time, and that's true. It did take a long time. Uncharted Golden Abyss I think came out 2013. Mm-hmm. So from 2013 to 2019, 6 years is a long time to make a game.
Yeah.
Let me double check.
And it still wasn't a blockbuster like some of the other games are, which obviously they're prioritizing over games like this.
I was incorrect.
Oh, really?
Golden Abyss came out 2011.
Ooh, even longer.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Long time.
So, yeah, I can understand why they're like, dude, you took this long and it cost us this much just to make that, and you want to do that again?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. They knew what game they were making now.
Mm-hmm.
So the only direction it could really go is up if properly funded and supported and given the proper amount of time.
Which it's not. Obviously
it's not, because Sony has cut that. Now, what Sony Bend does next, I don't know. But sounds kind of make or break for Bend as an independent studio.
Yeah. Seems like they'll be once again consumed by the large mass that's Sony.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm a big fan of Naughty Dog. I think they're one of the best names in gaming right now. And I think they've been that way for quite a long time. Ever since Uncharted 2. I think they've been one of the better dev studios out there. Mm-hmm. I love everything they've put out since the first Uncharted game. Like, there's not a single game... Now, you disagree with me, but there's not a single game that I'm like, oh, that's a bad game.
Yeah, you've enjoyed all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To varying degrees. I love both Last of Us games. Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 3 are just okay to me. But they're still fun and they're worth playing.
Them, yeah.
But this obsession they have with making Naughty Dog their star player is ridiculous to me.
It is.
And you wonder why people are thinking, hey, Sony, you're starting to fold back into that PS3 era of ego where it was like, get a second job because you want to play games on your PlayStation 3. The fuck? Fuck off.
Yeah.
Let these other games breathe. You know, not everything has to be a big blockbuster title.
No.
We can have smaller games. Concrete Genie was phenomenal. Small little art game. Did it make as much as, even an Uncharted Lost Legacy? No. But it was still dope. And it still provides an experience that you can only have on PlayStation. Games like Dreams would have been fucking massive hits if you, well, maybe not massive, but would have, gained some traction if you had fucking given it any type of marketing. You have great games and you only market Spider-Man. And you only market God of War and Horizon.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love all these games. These are great games. But why can't I also love these smaller ones?
What's also ridiculous is that Naughty Dog has, despite the popularity of that game and how well it sold, there were a lot of complaints that, hey, you're overworking your staff. There's a lot of crunching going on. And here's this other studio that's saying, okay, we'll do our own Last of Us remake. And then they say, no. You hand that off to Naughty Dog. Let them come in and do that as well.
Yeah.
Can you really be affording to do that? Plus whatever else they're doing.
You're burning out your support staff, bro. Yeah. You make a great point with this crunch argument. It's reasons like this that this type of infrastructure can't. I mean, I assume. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've never been in charge of a team, but it doesn't seem sustainable.
It doesn't. You like there has to be, with the level of overworking that goes on, there has to be a breaking point at some point.
Yeah.
If nothing is fixed, obviously they're not trying to fix it because they're getting money. So why would they think about changing a model that works if a couple people get overworked?
Listen,
who cares?
Naughty Dog can't knock it out of the park every time.
No.
They just can't.
Yeah.
Now, the message sent from The Last of Us Part 2 is clearly not the message that probably should have been to Sony. Because Last of Us Part 2 met with crazy critical praise, fastest selling video game, whatever, of all time, biggest selling game of the year, whatever, yada, 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 yada. Best selling PlayStation exclusive, it broke all these records, and it achieved all these great accolades, and it won all these Game of the Year awards. So, but how much fucking heartache and lost and blood and sweat and tears had to go into it, and how much fucking families falling apart because they were stuck at work for hours upon hours upon hours, stuck in this. This is a great point you're making about fucking crunch in these bigger studios that, like, there's solutions to these. And is it more expensive? Yeah, but you're gonna come with, everything is gonna be better. Cyberpunk 2077 is a great example of, hey, crunch doesn't work. You can't make it work. You need to give them time.
Yeah.
We're okay with waiting. We will support waiting.
On the alternate side, it's only a matter of time before something messes up on your end of things. And then you're not going to exactly feel the benefits of putting everything behind these large studios.
Yeah. Listen, the argument that was made by some of these companies when the average price of games went up $10 from $60 to $70 is that, games are too expensive. That doesn't read to us. But you know what would read to us? Hey, it's taking hundreds of hours a week to make these games the way on the timeline that we're making now. In order for us to give our developers room to breathe and have lives, the price has to come up. Because otherwise, we just can't fix it. And I don't believe you can't fix it. I think that's a lie. And I also don't think you needed that $10 increase. But I'm more willing to pay it if it's to battle crunch. And if it provides results. Now, that's not why you increased it. And it's not going to help with crunch at all. If anything, the problem is probably only going to get worse.
Exactly. They're doing it with profit, and then here they are internally dealing with things.
God, I hope
doing
Santa
it
Monica Studios is doing okay with God of War Ragnarok right now.
Yeah, as long as they don't have someone breathing down their neck, I think.
And the guys over at Guerrilla for Horizon.
Oh yeah.
I hope they're okay. Jesus Christ. So it's unfortunate that Bend is just being forced into this Naughty Dog and this visual arts studios that never really got a real name and never really got the full support.
And already lost a lot of people because no one wants to really just be handed a position where, just here's the actual game studios that are going to make the games, polish the games.
Yeah, it's just fucking sad. And it's like, guys, did y'all learn nothing? Go over the last few years? It's okay to experiment and do something crazy. Days Gone was a perfect example of that. This is a smaller studio that handled a spin-off title and has in the past just been support. But they went on, they made their own IP, and it was profitable. Did it blow records away? No, but it was profitable. Can you imagine what a sequel would have done? That would have been crazy. And that's not even talking about how we don't need a remake for The Last of Us.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation that never was thought of on their end. They were just like, we know that'll bring in money, so might as well do it.
Last of Us came out in 2013.
Yeah.
That was 8 years ago now.
Another version came out in 2014.
Another version came out in 2014. We just got last year a 60 frames per second lower loading times update for The Last of Us Remastered. We have access to the first Last of Us game. We don't need it remade. Now, is the first Last of Us aged a little bit? Yeah, it's fucking 8 years old. It's gonna age. It's not going to feel as good as it did back in the day.
But who cares?
It still plays well enough.
Yeah.
Is Last of Us Part 2 a better made game? Yes. It came out last year. It should be. On better hardware. They even say it in this article. They were meant to do an Uncharted 1 remake, which makes way more fucking sense. Because Uncharted 1, super rough around the edges, especially in today's day and age. when was Uncharted 1? 2007?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it says it in the article, but I can't find it right here. 2007. So yeah, it's even older, and it wasn't blow your mind when it came out, but it was solid. Mm-hmm. And I think it's still solid. It's just old, you know, and it doesn't hit the bar anymore. So this excuse, and you want your other homie Jim Ryan to be bragging about how your games are too expensive to make for Game Pass, but then you're not willing to put up the cash for something that people are going to come to. People are going to come to an Uncharted remake just as quickly as they will for a Last of Us remake. Now, is the Last of Us remake going to be cheaper? Yeah, it is. Especially with how closely this team is working with Naughty Dog. I am assuming there's going to be a lot of assets being thrown back and forth, and a lot of lines of code being thrown back and forth. But, I mean, for God's sakes, and putting in over a dozen Naughty Dog staff on that project is so disrespectful.
Oh, yeah. That is corporate theft, basically.
Yeah.
Just,
so,
your idea is now ours, and we can do what we want.
It's already a project that you can't take too many liberties with, because one, it's beloved to the level it is. Two, it's really recent in everybody's minds, so it's not like you can like change shit dramatically and everyone be like, okay. Like, people are going to be like, why the fuck is that? You know? And I don't understand why we need it.
We really don't.
You know the best thing that could come... The best thing that could come from a Last of Us remake is integrating the Left Behind DLC into the actual story of the first game.
That and multiplayer is the only other thing that I can think of, but that's not worth doing a whole entire remake for.
And now Bend is split between another Uncharted game and who's asking for more Uncharted at this point? We're okay on Uncharted. Do something new. And a multiplayer game, which I assume is their factions multiplayer, whatever that's going to be, if it ever comes.
Just disappointing.
Who wants this? And don't get me wrong, if a Last of Us remake comes out, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna be one of those 10 million people who buy it on day one or whatever the fuck. But I don't know, man.
You have to be happy about it.
This seems like this seems like these are risks that don't need to be taken, and you're not working with your developers enough to express an actual creative vision or to actually do anything innovative in the industry itself. Directly after getting Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. And now to see all the things, and these two stories have nothing to do with each other, but now to see all the things that BioWare is doing with Mass Effect 1, like, what the fuck, dude? Like, these are easy wins, and you're fumbling the ball here. Connor.
Yeah, that's it for the news.
That is it for the news. Unfortunate that Sony is taking these directions, but not surprising. So, let's go ahead and move into what we've been playing. I've been playing a lot this week, Connor.
You go ahead. I've been playing one game.
You've been playing one game?
Playing multiple games.
So I've been playing a lot. So let me get with the smaller stuff out the way. With the announcement of the PS3 and the Vita stores closing, I went and did some impulse buying, and I got like some Ratchet and Clank shit and some Sly Cooper shit and some... what else did I buy? I bought something else. I forget. Oh, Peace Walker. The HD version of Peace Walker. So that I can have trophies.
Yeah, I
gotta get those trophies for Peace Walker, baby.
I'm surprised you didn't have that already.
The Vita version is just the PSP version.
Oh, okay.
And the PSP didn't have trophies.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I was playing initially, and now I'm gonna play the PS3 HD release version of it. So I'm gonna get them trophies. One day I'm gonna get that MGS2 Platinum. There's so much grinding. I loaded it up the other week, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do this a little bit day by day. It's so much. There's so much grinding in that.
It's those VR missions, isn't it?
It's the VR missions, dude. It's insane. Anyways. But with the impulse buy of this Ratchet & Clank, I've fallen down a Ratchet & Clank hole, especially after that 60 FPS update to the last game that came out, which was nice, but I just like the original. Well, I like the first two games more, so I've been playing a lot of Going Commando this week. It's fun. Getting trophies.
Yeah, wasn't that one of your less favorite Ratchet & Clank games in the past?
I don't like Up Your Arsenal.
Up Your Arsenal.
The first game and Going Commando, which are 1 and 2, are my favorites of the series.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've just been on a nostalgia wave, playing that. The HD collection has a lot of like graphical glitches. A lot of like eyeballs popping through eyelids and shit, and like a lot of pop in for like whole buildings and so forth. There's a lot of issues with it.
Yeah.
But it's the easiest way to, get those games for now, at least until Sony closes down the stores. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of that. I purchased Star Wars Republic Commando. Didn't touch it. Installed it, didn't touch it. So probably more on that next week.
Well, there's a remaster coming out.
I've been playing so much. Is there?
Yeah. There's a remaster coming out.
You're not talking the
Republic Commando, the first person shooter.
The fuck are you talking about? No, I think you're misconstruing what I've purchased.
Isn't that Republic Commando?
Yeah. Republic Commando. Anyways, so most of my time has been dedicated to Ratchet and Clank, but also I've been playing the new hotness, which is Leader of the Republic Commando. Yeah, this is just a port of the original game, Connor.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying there's a remaster coming out.
There is not a remaster coming out. Is there?
Yeah, got announced pretty recently.
Remastered review.
Oh, did it come out?
All right, I'm telling you, I think this is the same thing. First release 2005. This is from GameSpot. First release 2005. Star Wars Republic act as many as a young blah 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 blah. Yeah. It's the same thing that I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know it was a remaster. I thought it was just a port.
Oh, that's why I was confused. I was like, oh, are you playing a port?
I thought it was just a port.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man, it looks good. I mean, it looks like a game from 2005, but it looks fun. I want to play it. Anyways. But I've been playing the new hotness, the thing that everybody's been talking about on the internet because it's the first real big game to come out this year, and everybody's just chomping at the bit for a new quote-unquote AAA release. I've been playing Outriders.
Yes.
Squad-based looter shooter by People Can Fly, so, the Gears of War homies. Third-person shooter, cover-based, all that. In the vein of your Destiny divisions, in the vein of your Borderlands. However, like Borderlands, this is not a games of service. So what is in the game is the complete package. That's what it is. We're not waiting on updates. We're not waiting for in-game things to get better. What's there is there, and I'll say it's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
It's fun. The story can be kind of generic at times. Not super into it. Just kind of there as motivations to be doing what I'm doing or whatever. Voice acting can be hit or miss sometimes. Some of those side characters, oof.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad. Great. But I'll say the core gameplay experience and the core loop, pretty solid time.
Yeah, go do higher risk missions, get better rewards.
Yeah.
Go.
I think what's cool about this game is its use of character abilities intertwined with the third person cover shooting. It supports more aggressive play styles. So you know how in the Division it's a lot of like popping out from cover and like just shooting at the bullet sponge for a little while and then popping
getting around
back
people
and getting your
shooting
health.
them.
In this game, it wants you to get right in motherfuckers' faces.
Yeah, jump in with like fire abilities or whatever.
Yeah, baby. People. So I'm playing as the Trickster class, which is like, I guess, kind of close to like your mage sort of abilities. I've been playing with Fergus, who's playing the Devastator, which is like your tank.
Sounds like it.
Tank guy. And it is just such a blast, us like learning to combine our powers together and how they all work together. And so like I have like I had this early ability that's a slow field, and I throw out this bubble, and everything in the bubble is slow. If an enemy is outside the bubble and I'm in it, and they shoot at me, when the bullet hits the bullet goes in slow motion.
Oh, okay.
And
that's
you
cool.
can you see it coming, and you're just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna avoid that real quick. So it's great for support role type things. I have a teleport ability, which allows me to teleport behind an enemy. So my current thing that I'm doing, I'm early. I'm only like 5-6 hours in.
Okay.
My current thing that I'm doing is I'm teleporting. I'm throwing out a bubble. I have an innate, I have a passive ability where if I melee, my next, any damage based abilities will do like 30% more damage. So I melee to get that 30% boost, and then I hit them with my hard, electric slash thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really fun playing with all these things. Oh god, it's so fun. I will say, and the shooting feels great.
Oh, it does.
And the constant gaining of loot is really, really nice. And they do some nice things with, your inventory system. You know how like, in typical looter shooters, your inventory becomes super bloated really quickly, and it's a bunch of items that you don't care about, and you have to dismantle them all. In most games, you have to do it all individually, one by one, and it's a lot of like, okay, I'm gonna hold square. Okay, next item, hold square.
Dismantle.
And you do that like 30 times in a row. This one, they've got like a little like sub menu on the inventory menu where you like highlight the different rarities of items. So it's like gray box, green box, blue box, purple box, things like that. So you highlight, and you click on them, and it highlights every item that is that rarity in your inventory, and you can dismantle them all at once. So
all the greens
if I'm rocking a bunch of blue gear right now, which I am, I'm still picking up grays and green rarity, which are lower rarities. And then, when my inventory starts filling up, I click 2 buttons, and then I hold dismantle, and then 40 items go away. Mm-hmm. And it's, how has nobody thought of this before? This is genius. I expect this in every looter shooter ever from now on. This is what should happen. So that's a lot of great. I love, the skill tree. I like how it's all built out and branching, and how you can actually, you can really move around and do some crazy snake paths through the snake tree, or through the skill tree to really build out your character.
So builds are generally more customized to what you want to play, even within certain classes.
It feels that way so far. And there's even in your skill tree, there's 3 main branches within that skill tree. Mm-hmm. I feel like eventually I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna want to what is it called? Respec. I'm gonna respecialize and recall all these points that I'm spending and then build them out the way I want to. But for right now, I'm just kind of jumping around trying to find what I like mm-hmm. and how to play the game. And then as they're giving me new abilities, which is on a different progression path, it's really, really fun. One thing that's really difficult about these games, Connor, is because it's a squad based, so it's a cooperative shooter. One thing that's really difficult is if one player is a higher level than the other. Say right now I'm level, I think 12. If you were to jump in and play today, you would obviously start at level 1.
Yeah.
Most games, it would do this thing where either I jump into your world and I just mop the floor with everybody because mm-hmm. I'm too powerful, or they increase the level cap to something comparable between the two of us, in which case, because I'm so much higher than you, the middle ground is gonna fuck you.
Yeah.
Because you're so lower and you don't have all your abilities and yada, yada, yada. Or they just increase the number of bad guys on screen. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, this game chooses the last option there of increasing the number of guys you have to fight.
Yeah.
But they do have this other subsystem called world tiers, in which you pick your difficulty for whatever mission you're on. And there's 15 world tiers. I've unlocked up to level 6. Mm. And then whoever's hosting picks whatever world tier we're playing on. So, if you were to join today, and you're to get these world tiers, and I'm so far above you or whatever, mm-hmm. We could potentially find a middle ground here that is acceptable for both of us. One where clearly I'm still not being pressured because I'm so high level, but one that doesn't kick your ass.
Yeah.
If all these world tiers are unlocked. So you could potentially join my game, and we wouldn't start at world tier 6. We would start at 3.
Yeah.
Or 2, mm-hmm. or something like that. So that you can still have a good time, and I feel like I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah.
Very interesting little system. I still think Borderlands 3 did the best way, where it was just the enemies were scoped to each individual player, but I can understand how that can get difficult.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking would be the better way to do things, but it is a difficult process to do, especially when that one's so much newer, and this game's probably been made by the time that game's feature was already announced.
By Borderlands 3 came out, this game was well into development, so it was too late to go back. So, if this game were to come out 2 years from now, I would expect the Borderlands 3 system in it.
Yeah.
But I think this one's fine. I think it works, and I think it's fun.
Uh-huh.
It also, how eventually through these looter shooters, it's okay, play on normal or play on hard. And eventually you get to the point where it's okay, if you're not playing on hard, you're not really getting anything out of it. This way, I feel like there's a nice middle ground where, if you play on the higher world tiers, you do get better loot, but the game is so fun on its own that I don't feel pressured to play on the hardest difficulty. So I feel like if I were to be man, I don't really feel like thinking, and I just kind of want to shoot the shit and hang out with my buddies and us just light up some dudes. Yeah, let's knock it down a few tiers. Okay, that's cool with me. I'm really enjoying Outriders. I will say the game is not running very well.
It's not.
A lot of glitches, lot of frame rate drops, a lot of graphical issues. For the most part, in gameplay, when you're in the thick of it and in the action, it's working fine, which is nice. But whenever it switches to cutscenes or whenever you're in a hub world or whatever, the frame rate drops quite a bit. And then there's small graphical glitches all the time. me and Fergus are coming across this issue where every time we load into the game, the UI doesn't load. So we have to go into the settings, turn everything off, unpause the game, repause it, go into the settings, turn everything back on, and then we have to leave the game, go back to the main menu, and come back in.
How'd you find that out?
Fergus found it through Google.
Oh, okay. That's a big issue.
That's an issue, and it's not fun. But once you load in, it's fine. It works. It's just that first startup of, okay, load in. Okay, do the thing. All right, do the thing. All right, now leave. Now come back. Okay, now we're here.
It seems kind of tiresome to deal with that.
It's a little annoying,
yeah,
but that will change eventually.
Now, what sounds like would be the bigger issue with me with this game is it's a looter shooter, so it's constantly like getting new loot, doing more things like that. Once you beat the game, because it's all out as it is right now, it's not a games as a service.
Yeah,
it seems like one of those games you're going to put hours into, but then just kind of stop and be like, okay, well, had fun with that. See ya. Like looter shooters seem to be like
I imagine
the be all end all there.
Well, I mean, I imagine it's probably going to be 30, 40, 60. I don't know how long this game is. Let's look it up. I imagine it's going to be 30 plus hours, so that's more than enough time for me to get my money's worth. How long to beat? Focusing on just the main campaign itself on a single class will take around 25 to 30 hours, but it will take 2 to 3 times that long if you play all the side quests.
Okay.
Plenty of content. And there's quite a few side quests that I've come across. They don't seem very expansive. It seems like a lot of like fetch quest type shit. A lot of go in, wipe out the enemies, come back and get your reward. Honestly, the main missions aren't that crazy intricate either, at least not yet. But
the gameplay holds that up.
The core gameplay holds that up. And I could even see myself one day, not now, but like one day, a few years from now, someone being like, hey man, do you just want to like jump into Outriders? Yeah, sure man. Do you want to start a new build? Yeah, let's start a new build. Let's play around with something else. And I would jump into the fire class or something and start using the pyromancer, whatever his name is. I like it. And again, the classes are quite diverse in how they work. So much so that even like, so the way my character, the Trickster, gains health back, it's not a regen system for health. You have to actively get your health back. There is shields though. You do have shields.
Okay. That recharge.
Yeah, but those fail quite quickly and then you're on your main health. The way my character regains health is by killing enemies at a close range. So I have to be in there and I have to kill somebody to get some health back. Ferg, who's playing the Devastator, I believe he gets health back by using his abilities on enemies and doing damage and kills. So stuff. I know the Pyromancer, you get health back by doing damage with your fire abilities.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, so as they're burning, you're getting health back. I forget what the Technomancer, which is like this like long range, it's more of a sniper type class. I forget how he works.
And those are the 4 classes.
Yeah, those are the four classes. So yeah, they're diverse and each of them have their own play styles. Some of them are a little more similar to the others. But you know, they all function differently, and that's just on how the shooting, like that's basics, like positioning of where you are and how you're using your abilities. That's not even including the different builds you can make with the different abilities, with the different classes, which each have 3 subclasses that you can mix and match any other way you want. So there's I think there's quite a good amount of customization. It does do that thing that's really, really annoying where like all your stats are tied to loot, and your loot affects how your character looks.
Yeah,
so of course you're gonna go for the best stats, and of course you're gonna look like a fucking idiot, because none of your clothes match. Now I'll say for a while I was rocking a nice jacket and a helmet that matched, and my pants were looking a little ridiculous, but it wasn't that ridiculous. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of feeling how I'm looking, and then the next helmet I got looked stupid with my jacket, and I was like, fuck!
It's better. Yeah, you gotta use that then.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the shooting, really, really fun. Really, really fun to use.
Cool guns.
Yeah, really cool guns. Really satisfying. Really, I feel the impact when I shoot something. Which in a looter shooter with enemies with big health bars, and you know it takes a little while to put them down. I feel the impact of when I shoot them. So that's really fun and satisfying to me. It's why Anthem didn't work for me, is because when I shot them, I didn't feel it. It just felt like me ticking off numbers of a health bar.
Hitting a bar.
Where in this one, it feels like I'm doing damage. Also, also the enemies, the like lieutenants and the captains and whatever, they will have abilities as well.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And you can use your abilities to interrupt theirs. So there's a strategy there. For example, we came across this one captain who had sort of like almost like a mortar or like a bombing ability where he would shoot these bombs into the air, and then they would like a damage circle would pop up underneath our feet. You had to get out of the circle before the bomb hits the ground, and he would shoot out like 8 at a time, and you go pop 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 pop, and then it's okay, move, get out of the cover thing. But as we were knocking his health down, he would then start using healing abilities, which would bring him back up to full. So we had to time and we had to use timing and be careful and communicate with each other in order to interrupt his healing ability, so that he doesn't heal himself, so that we can actually take him down, and time that with our own cooldowns and stuff as all of our abilities are resetting and stuff. And they reset at a good pace.
Okay.
They don't take forever like Borderlands ones do, and they're even shorter than Destiny's cooldowns.
I mean, when it's tied to your health and aggressive gameplay is the key,
you kind of have to.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just kind of boring shooting.
Yeah.
You're just solely focusing on shooting.
Then it turns into The Division.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that was a really fun, like, little sub-boss to fight. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I'm having a good time. I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to play tonight.
Yeah. See what the game has in store.
Indeed. Is there anything else I've been playing this week? I don't think so. Connor, what have you been playing?
Unfortunately, haven't played that many games outside of practicing a fighting game.
So you finished Ghost of Tsushima?
No.
Oh.
Now, my reason for it is because I got a $20 gift card for Steam, and I was like, oh, what game? And there's this game called Omori that I ended up buying. And it came out at the very end.
Say that again?
Omori.
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 Okay.
Simple title. It's an indie game. $20 on Steam. It came out at the very end of 2020, December 25th, on Christmas. And I had seen some people on Twitter talking about how amazing this game is. And I thought to myself, okay, don't be careful about looking at things. Because from what I heard from everybody was, you should go into this game not knowing anything about it whatsoever.
This is a weird art style.
Yes, because it has a lot of hand-drawn art goes into this game, and it looks very, very cute and nice.
And it cuts back from colors to, like, more drab stuff?
Well, see, that's the thing. The themes of the game are very dark. It's a dark game.
Are you, like, fighting depression or something?
It's a sad game. I'm trying not to look at the images, because it's a very... You don't want to know little... You want to know as little about the game as possible. And all I had to go off of was people saying how amazing it is, and you need to get on this game before some streamer gets their hands on it, and now everybody knows about this game and knows about the story and knows about the characters and all that kind of stuff.
When I Googled it, the first thing that came up is Omori like Undertale?
And that's the best thing to compare it to, in the sense that you look... Like, you have sprites, it's sprites like Undertale had. So, a little bit more high definition than those older sprites you would get, like, with old Final Fantasy games. But it's more detailed, it's got goofy character designs and enemy designs, but it's a completely different game. It's more character-based, it's a very, very character-heavy game. And it's kind of hard to talk about the game, because there's aspects of it that you get introduced to the more you go into the game, because it doesn't give you everything right from the get-go. And it has horror elements that come into play. It can actually be a pretty creepy game. Not like jump scare scary, but just unsettling scary. And, like I said, can't really say much about the story beyond it's very, very good. And it's the main drawing point. It's the main reason why you should play that game.
So what is this type of game?
Well, that's the thing. It's an RPG.
PG? Okay.
It's an indie RPG. So you randomly encounter enemies. You see the enemies on screen, and you actually have to run into them. So you can actually finagle your way around them.
Less random encounters.
No, you can dodge enemy encounters.
Okay. More Chrono Trigger.
Right. Yes. Okay. But the way that combat works is pretty interesting, because you have your party members that all fight against your enemies, and
is it your classic turn-based, menus popping up? Okay.
Yes, it's turn-based. You have fights, you have skills. Skills will cost SP. Well, no, this one it's called Juice.
Fights are just like your random melee attack or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, or you can do headbutt skill, or you can make somebody angry.
Got you.
Because an
enragement thing or something.
Well, that's the thing, because the status effects are really integral to this game. I always have to pull up this little triangle they give you early on in the game about how they work, but there's 5 different emotions. There's happy, angry, sad, and neutral. Well, technically there's 5, but I'm not getting into that. So what they do is that if you're happy, your luck and speed go up. Yeah, but your hit rate goes down.
Oh!
If you're angry, your attack goes up, but your defense goes down. If you're sad, your defense goes up, but your speed goes down, and instead of doing damage to just your
only
heart...
available on Steam?
Only available on Steam right now.
Okay.
Some damage goes to your heart, and some of it goes to your juice. So it kind of separates those two, so you're not completely taking hits to your health bar. And health goes down very fast in this game, and the emotion system is really integral to trying to make sure that you're able to win fights, because it actually has a similar weapon triangle system with the emotions to Fire Emblem, to older Fire Emblem games, because strong beats happy, so happy is weak to... No, I'm sorry.
It's your classic, like, rock, paper, scissors.
Yes,
stuff.
exactly. Rock, paper, scissors that, will be more effective determining what you do. Like I said, do not look up any trailers. It's one of those games that you really should go in uninitiated.
I'm trying to see... Overwhelmingly positive on Steam right now.
Oh yeah, people absolutely love this game.
I see some percentages or something. I saw
there's percentages when you go over it.
The Google search
where or you hold over it. You hold over the overwhelming positive, and it'll pop up. Like how many people enjoyed this?
98% of the 11,000 user reviews for this game are positive. Well, user reviews,
Yeah, and then there's the are they recent or are they comprehensive? Whatever. That combat system.
This is a really interesting art style.
Yeah, the art style is amazing. It's simultaneously very cute when it wants to be, and then very scary and sad when it wants to be as well.
It looks like some like old like grade school like level of art, but it's used in a way to where it's intentional. It doesn't look like an amateur drew it. It just looks like
someone professionally hand drawn a character. Like they're doodling. Yeah. They have character design in mind.
They purposely did it with like how a third grader would draw.
Yes.
Would draw images.
And some of the imagery that you see while you're going out through the main world is very striking. I mean, you're seeing it.
I'm looking at this video. I do not like how the character moves around the world.
Yeah, see, that's where it's similar to Undertale.
It's so clearly like the world is moving, the character's not.
There's a lot of movement in the world. That is true. A lot of depending on the area that you're in. But man, it is.
You know what, Connor? You've sold me.
It's an amazing game. Is it the art style that's mainly doing it to you?
No.
Oh, really?
It was the combat system that did it for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
You sold me.
The combat system is very fun. I was surprised when I got to it, and I was like, man, this is actually good.
It's not like I have enough games to play right now.
Jesus, you're buying it. Nice.
Yeah, buddy.
Small game.
I don't play around.
Taking long to install. One of the...
2 gigs.
Here's the biggest issue with the game, though.
Okay.
The pacing.
Oh.
There's certain just small quality of life things that, like, why is this happening? A small example is... You're in this one area that's like a junkyard, and it's like, hey, clean up the environment, because that's what good people do. So you put things in a recycling machine to get money from it.
Okay. And does this feed into your
pacing issue?
Okay, but but like things like this feed into your what did you call it? Your emotion level or whatever it was?
No. This is just a way to get money.
Okay. How does your emotion level change?
I'm sorry. I was in the middle of the combat system.
Yeah.
So the way it works for enemies, because enemies also are affected by this. It's not just the players. So sometimes enemies will come in with certain emotions already there. The way that you afflict it is that each character kind of starts out with a way to change the emotion of characters. So the main character can make him or the enemies sad. The girl character can make them happy. Through one of their skills. So you spend like 5 juice to make something angry. And then that person's angry. And then they have those status effects that go with it. Okay. So you can do them to your allies to make it to where they do extra damage, they take less damage, whatever. But you can also do it to enemies to make sure that they're, making them angry might be a risk-reward situation, because now they're going to do more damage to you, but they're going to take tons more damage as a result. So... just start wailing on the guy with normal attacks. The game is very funny with its combat system, like Undertale. So there's like funny stuff that happens within the game itself. Specifically with bosses that are affected somehow.
Is it doing the same shit Undertale did with the non-violent
stuff?
Non-violent stuff?
No, it's not even remotely
You sure?
No, okay. It's not even remote. Like, it's Undertale in the sense of how
I feel like I heard about this game on a podcast, and someone because someone was talking about it of how much a recent RPG is so much like Undertale, and it might have been this one, but it might have been something else.
It probably is, but as far as themes go and the story, you couldn't be more different than Undertale. So don't go into it expecting that. It's really just like Undertale in the small production that goes into it and roaming around worlds in a sprite format.
Okay.
Little to say about. I'm still playing it. It's one of those games that I sit down. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm not doing anything else because I'm going to be invested as all hell when I hop onto this. It's probably what I'll play when I get home, whenever that is.
Okay.
Because it's such a fun game in the combat. It's such a interesting, investing story with what's going to happen with the characters and with the world. Give it a shot. Anybody should play this game. I'll come to you with more of my thoughts when I beat the game.
How deep in are you?
I'm about 13 hours in.
Oh, wow.
Now, I did leave it running 2 hours. So,
okay. So closer to 10.
Yeah, all right. Closer to 10.
So, are you
into it?
How deep in does it feel like you're ramping up, or does it feel like you're in more middle-ish, early hours still?
The game is constantly ramping up.
I meant like, where do you think you are? Like, how long until beat do you think?
Well, that's the problem. It's constantly ramping up, and there's no real end that you can see in sight. So I cannot tell you at all. Because for the longest time when I was saving, it was still saying I was in the prologue, and I a couple hours ago, got out of that part where it was saying something different other than prologue. And it's kind of like, it makes me think from what it says after the prologue, I still have a little bit more of the game to go.
Okay, so you're still early. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, I do not know how long it'll take to beat. I'd like to be interested in that. How long to beat Omori? Yeah, the art style, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. 21 hours for the main story. So I'm halfway done.
So you're about halfway. All right. Well, fantastic.
63.5 for completionist.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. That's got to be some like multiple playthrough type shit.
Extras.
Like,
there's extra stuff. Which is 27 hours.
Anyways, all right. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, has been your 2 Penny Gamescast episode 38. Closing in on that big 4-0.
That's good.
Connor, coming up on a year here in a few weeks.
Our 50th episode.
I say a few weeks. It's fucking 14 weeks, so it's gonna be a little while. But it was a good episode. A lot of good juicy stuff. Remember, you can catch us Mondays 8 a.m. YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts. You know, all the big joints, all the big names. We're there. Mm-hmm. We're out there with the big names. Make sure to subscribe, leave reviews, rate, all that thing. Hit the like button, please. Get that view counter up. Get that, what is it called? Engagement.
Yes, engaged with us.
Up. Leave a comment on YouTube. Call us a bunch of fuckwits or something. Mm-hmm. You can catch us at twitch.tv/2pennygames. Watch us play games live. I stream there sometimes randomly, but mostly, consistently at least, we are live with Hype. Have you ever played? Where me and Phil sit down and show each other a game we love, that the other one has never played before. That you can find that Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Central Time until we're done. We go for like 8-9 hours. It's an all-day stream. We're going to be live the whole time. It's exciting. It's a good time. Mm-hmm. But until then, go ahead, catch After the Hype review. Last week we released our Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater review for After the Hype with Phil. So go listen to that. See how he felt about it. It's my favorite video game of all time. And,
give it a gander.
Let's see how he feels about it, Give it a gander how a 2021 gamer feels about a 2004 game. Other than that, everybody, have a great week. Thank you so much for listening. And Connor, say bye to the people.
See ya.